Warriors fans, if you're watching this right now, I need you to put your phone down and listen to me very carefully because what just happened 5 minutes ago on ESPN might be the most important moment of this entire Golden State Warriors offseason, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being dramatic. I am telling you, as someone who has covered this team for years, what I just saw. Shams Charania on camera was not normal. It was not a rumor. It was not speculation. He staked his entire name on it, and if you missed the part at the end of this video where I explain how this deal actually gets done without trading Jonathan Kuminga or Jimmy Butler, you're going to miss the biggest piece of this whole puzzle. So here's what happened. I was watching the late Sports Center on the West Coast. It was about 10:30 Bay Area time. I had just gotten back from a friend's house. I was scrolling Twitter on my phone, and the broadcast was on in the background, and all of a sudden I heard the anchor say, "We're going to Shams Charania for breaking news on a major Western Conference team." And Shams came on the screen. He was not in studio. He was on a phone interview. You could see his picture on the side, and the audio was a little crackly, like he was talking from a car or a hotel room, and he started speaking, and the second he started speaking, I knew something was different. Because Shams Charania does not call into the late Sports Center at 10:30 at night for a rumor. Shams Charania calls in at that hour when something is actually happening. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly, the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. He said, and I'm quoting him as best I can because I haven't been able to find the clip online yet. He said, "I received a phone call about 45 minutes ago from a source very close to the Trey Murphy third situation." He said the source told him that Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the Golden State Warriors front office have been in active negotiations with Joe DeMars and the New Orleans Pelicans for the last 5 days. He said this is not a rumor, this is real. He said the framework of a trade that sends Trey Murphy III to the Golden State Warriors is in advanced stages. And then he did the thing. He did the thing that every insider does when they know they're about to break something huge. He said, "I am putting my credibility on this." He said, "If this doesn't happen, I will eat every single word I said tonight." He said, "I have multiple sources on this." He said Trey Murphy III to the Golden State Warriors is going to happen before the start of the new league year on July 1st. Warriors fans, listen to me. Do you understand what just happened? Do you understand? Shams Charania does not say those words on national television unless he knows. He knows. He doesn't guess. He doesn't speculate, he breaks news, and what he just broke is the news that this Warriors front office, Mike Dunleavy Jr., the entire organization has been working in the shadows for the last week to land the exact player that they have been chasing for over a year, Trey Murphy III. The guy Dunleavy basically named in a press conference back in January when he said we need a younger piece who will ensure the franchise remains competitive after Stephen Curry retires. The guy that Jake Fisher reported the Warriors had a strong affinity for going back to the offseason of 2025. The guy that ESPN's insiders constructed an entire mock trade for in early January that included Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody and 3 first-round picks. The guy Warriors fans have been begging for. Trey Murphy III. And the way Shams broke it, let me tell you something. The way Shams broke it, he said this came from a phone call. He said somebody called him 45 minutes before he went on air. He said the source did not want to be identified, but here's the thing that has me convinced this is real. He said the source told him that Trey Murphy's representation, his agent over at CAA, made the call to the Warriors, not the other way around. The agent called Mike Dunleavy Jr. directly. Now think about what that means. Think about what that tells you. That tells you Trey Murphy wants this. That tells you Trey Murphy, who is 26 years old, who just averaged 21.5 points per game on 47% shooting, who has 3 years left on a contract that pays him $27 million next year and steps up to 31 in the final year. That guy wants to play with Stephen Curry. That guy wants to play with Jimmy Butler when Butler comes back healthy. That guy wants to be the guy in the Bay Area who carries the torch when Steph retires. And it makes all the sense in the world. Let me tell you why. Stephen Curry is 38 years old next season. He's about to enter his 18th NBA season. He just signed an extension to keep him in Golden State. Jimmy Butler is coming off the season-ending knee injury that we all watched happen back in the regular season. Draymond Green is in the twilight of his career. Steve Kerr is back as head coach. The Warriors are at a crossroads. They either go all in for one more championship run with Steph, or they start the post-Steph rebuild. And what Trey Murphy III gives you is both. He gives you a guy who is good enough right now to be the third best player on a contending team with Steph and Jimmy. And he gives you a guy who is young enough to be the franchise player when Steph eventually walks away. He's the bridge. He's the answer. He's the player you build around for the next decade. But here's the part that's gonna blow your mind. Here's the part that I want every single Warriors fan watching this video to really understand. Shams said the trade package, the framework of the trade package, is different from what we all expected. We've been hearing for months that the Pelicans wanted 3 unprotected first-round picks. We've been hearing that the Pelicans wanted Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody plus picks. We've been hearing that this was gonna gut the entire roster. But Shams said, and I'm paraphrasing here because I'm relying on memory, he said the framework that's being discussed is structured differently. He said Joe DeMars has shifted his approach since taking over the front office. He said DeMars wants veteran salary back to balance the books in New Orleans. He said the framework involves Andrew Wiggins. Did you hear me? The framework involves Andrew Wiggins. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. You're gonna say, wait, Andrew Wiggins is already on the team. He's been on the team since the championship in 2022. Yes, and that's exactly the point. Andrew Wiggins is on a contract that pays him roughly $27 million next year. That's the exact same salary Trey Murphy III is making next year. The money matches up almost perfectly, and Wiggins is a veteran. He's a former All-Star. He's a champion. He still has trade value. And the Pelicans, with all their young talent, with Jeremiah Fires and Yves Missy developing, with Jordan Poole already in the rotation, can use a veteran wing like Wiggins to stabilize their roster while the kids grow up. Plus, Wiggins coming home to play closer to his family. This would actually be a good move for both sides. So picture this framework. Andrew Wiggins. Plus a couple of young pieces. Maybe Trace Jackson Davis. Maybe Quinton Post. Maybe Kyle Anderson, plus draft picks. But here's the genius of what Shams reported. He said the Warriors do not have to give up 3 unprotected first-round picks anymore. He said because Wiggins is being included, the pick compensation has come down. He said it's now looking like 2 first-round picks, one of which is likely protected. That's a totally different conversation. That keeps the future intact. That keeps you in a position to make additional moves down the road if you need to. That's the kind of trade that Mike Dunleavy Jr. can actually pull the trigger on without selling the entire farm. And Jonathan Kuminga. Oh, I see all the comments asking about Kuminga. Listen. Jonathan Kuminga signed his deal last summer. He was a restricted free agent. He signed, and then there was the trade restriction. We all know how that went. He stays, or maybe Kuminga goes in the deal too. But Shams hinted, and I want to be very specific here, Shams hinted that the framework being discussed is built around Wiggins being the primary salary match and not Kuminga. Why does that matter? It matters because Kuminga is 23 years old. Kuminga has untapped potential. Kuminga is still developing, and if you can keep Kuminga and add Trey Murphy III, you have one of the most athletic wing rotations in the entire NBA. You can play big lineups. You can play small lineups. You can defend everybody. The optionality this gives Steve Kerr is incredible. Now let's talk about the fit, because this is where I really start losing my mind. Trey Murphy III next to Stephen Curry is a basketball cheat code. Have you watched Trey Murphy play? Have you actually watched him? He's 6'8". He moves like a guard. He shoots 37.9% from 3 on nearly 9 attempts per game. He runs off screens. He cuts to the basket. He can attack closeouts off the dribble. He passes. He had 3.8 assists per game last year. And his defense. Watch his tape against Tyrese Maxey. Watch his tape against Devin Booker. He can guard the perimeter at a high level. He's exactly the kind of player Steve Kerr has been begging for since Klay Thompson left for Dallas. He's a Klay Thompson with 25% more athleticism. He's a Klay Thompson who can attack the rim. He's a Klay Thompson who is 12 years younger. And Jimmy Butler. We don't even know what Jimmy Butler is going to be when he comes back from the knee injury. Maybe he's the same Jimmy Butler, maybe he's a step slower, but whatever version of Jimmy you get next year, having Trey Murphy III on the wing next to him takes pressure off. Trey Murphy III can do the running. Trey Murphy III can be the catch and shoot threat. Trey Murphy III can guard the other team's best wing, while Jimmy hides on someone he can rest on defensively. That's how you extend Jimmy's career. That's how you get the most out of him in his 37th year. That's how you finally build a roster that has a real path to a championship in Steph's last few years. And Steph, imagine Steph next year. Steph going into his 18th season, coming off an extension, with a starting five that includes Trey Murphy III, Brandon Podziemski stepping up at the point guard spot, Draymond Green still anchoring the defense. Maybe Kristaps Porzingis if they can re-sign him. Maybe Al Horford if he comes back. And Jimmy Butler when he's healthy. That's a real basketball team. That's a top 6 seed in the West for sure. That's a team that can absolutely make a deep run if Jimmy comes back at 80% and Steph is still Steph. But I want to come back to what Shams actually said, because this is the part where I need every Warriors fan watching to really lock in. Shams said the deal is going to happen before July 1st. He said, the new league year starts July 1st. The draft is on June 25th, so we have a window here of about 4 to 5 weeks. He said the conversations have been happening daily between the two front offices. He said Joe DeMars wanted to take his time when he first took over the Pelicans front office, but he has accelerated the timeline because of how the lottery shook out and because of the rebuild he's trying to commit to with Jamal Mosley as the new head coach. He said the Pelicans want to start the new year with a cleaner roster and a clearer direction. They want their young players to know who the franchise is going to be built around. They want to make a statement to the league that they're moving on from the old core and starting fresh. And then Shams ended his hit on SportsCenter with a quote that I want to read for you because this is the kicker. This is the part that made me know this is real. He said, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the exact transcript yet. He said sources are telling him that Trey Murphy III has already started looking at houses in the Bay Area. He has already started having conversations with his family about the move. He has already mentally checked out of New Orleans. The agent calling Dunleavy was not a cold call. It was a coordinated effort to get this deal across the finish line. Both sides want it done. Both sides are working on it, and Shams Charania is telling you on national television that it's going to happen. I have been doing this long enough to know when an insider report is real versus when it's just a temperature check. This is real. This is the kind of report that gets fed to an insider when one or both sides want the deal to be public knowledge before it gets announced. This is the kind of report that gets fed to an insider when there's an expectation that the deal is going to be announced in the next few weeks, and the team wants the fan base ready. This is the kind of report that turns into a press release. And when this trade gets announced, when Trey Murphy III is officially a Golden State Warrior, you're gonna look back on this night, on this Shams Charania interview at 10:30 at night on a random late SportsCenter, and you're going to remember it was the moment everything changed. And I want to be really clear about one more thing, because I know some of you are skeptical. I know some of you have heard the Trey Murphy rumors for so long that you just don't believe anymore. You're like the boy who cried wolf. You've heard it too many times. I get it. I get it. But I'm telling you, this is different. The way Shams said it, the way he put his name on it, the way the broadcast cut in for this, the way he had specific details about the framework, the way he mentioned the agent calling, the way he mentioned the houses being looked at, those are details. Those are not the kind of details that an insider invents. Those are the kind of details that come from inside the building, from a source who is in the room, from somebody who knows. Steve Kerr is going to have a press conference soon, maybe in the next week, maybe in the next 2 weeks, and he's going to walk to that podium and he's going to introduce Trey Murphy III as the newest member of the Golden State Warriors, and he's going to talk about Trey's three-point shooting, and he's going to talk about Trey's defense. And he's going to talk about how Trey fits next to Steph and Jimmy. And he's going to talk about how Trey is going to be the future of this franchise. And we're all gonna remember the night Shams Charania put his name on it and told the world it was happening. So here's what I need you to do right now. If you've made it this far in the video, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, drop a comment below, tell me what you think. Tell me if you think Wiggins is really the salary match. Tell me what you think Trey Murphy is going to average next year next to Stephen Curry. Tell me what you think the starting five is going to look like, because the next few weeks are going to be insane. The next few weeks are going to define this franchise for the next decade, and I want to be on this journey with all of you. Warriors fans, we have waited so long for this. We have waited so long for Mike Dunleavy Jr. to make the move that takes this team from being a fringe playoff team to being a real championship contender again. And it's happening. It's actually happening. Shams Charania, with his name and his reputation on the line, just told us it's happening. Trey Murphy III is going to be a Golden State Warrior before July 1st, and the city by the bay is about to lose its mind. And one more thing before I let you go. One more thing I want to address, because I see it in the comments every time I make one of these videos. Some of you are gonna say, what about the Pelicans saying they wanted to keep Trey Murphy? What about the reports from March that said the Pelicans set his trade value intentionally high? What about Shamit Dua reporting that the Pelicans saw Murphy as the perfect fit next to Yves Missy? Listen, that was March. That was during the regular season. That was before the Pelicans finished 26-56 and decided to bring in Jamal Mosley to oversee a complete reset. Joe DeMars has changed his approach. He has had a month to evaluate the roster. He has looked at the cap sheet. He has looked at the draft picks they have coming. He has looked at Zion Williamson's contract. He has looked at Jordan Poole's contract. He has looked at the development of Jeremiah Fears. And he has come to the conclusion that the path forward is to trade Trey Murphy III for the maximum return and use that return to build around a younger core. That is exactly what Shams is reporting. That is exactly what is happening. The narrative changed because the reality changed. The Pelicans are not the team they were in March. The Pelicans are now a team that is officially in rebuild mode, and Trey Murphy III is the asset that has the most value to maximize. So get ready, Warriors fans. Get ready, because the next few weeks are going to be wild. The next few weeks are going to test our patience. The next few weeks we are going to refresh Twitter every 5 minutes waiting for the official announcement. We are going to see the Pelicans front office leak details. We are going to see other insiders try to break pieces of the story. We are going to see ESPN First Take debate it for hours. We are going to see Stephen A. Smith yell about it. We are going to see Brian Windhorst go on his podcast and talk about what it means for the Western Conference. But the bottom line is what Shams Charania already said tonight. The bottom line is what Shams put his name on. The bottom line is that Trey Murphy III is coming to the Bay Area. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, and let's go. We're so back.